War without fans are nothing. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch it, it becomes nothing.
Johnston. And a goal by Johnston. That makes it 2 by him.
We were magnificent. Magnificent.
Larson. Oh, he's in. Henrik Larsson. That is sensational. Nakamura.
The game is over. The Rebels have won.
He's done it! Jarman's put it in, and without a doubt, the European Cup is on its way.
We'll never stop. We'll stop at half time, and we'll stop at the end of the game when we celebrate.
Yeah!
Get in! Come on!
Saturday,
Game's on, man. Game's on.
Oh, mate, what a day. What a day. Absolute drama. Carnage everywhere. Started off early this morning, mate. The Sevco were up in Dingwall. Oh, a 96-minute equaliser for them, for Ross County. 2 points wrapped up in Dingwall. Comes down here. Everybody's hoping for the best of the day, mate. Get a win today. We clock back to within 2 points. Leah Labada. 90th minute. 10 men Celtic win it. Oh my God, what a day. What drama. My heart is fucking racing. I don't know about you, mate. How are you?
Mate, everything you've just said and more. I was working this afternoon and was trying to keep track of their scoreline. Obviously, don't like to talk about them too much, but won a title race with them, so you have to mention them sometimes. But you're watching their goals going out. It's like, 1-0. Bloody 40 billion player that they don't own has just got a goal. I thought, right, fine, this is going to go only one way at this point. So it was 2-1 at half time. Thought, oh, Christ. Went to do my shopping at Tesco, came back, it was 3-2. I was like, oh, fuck. Got in the car, heard it go to 3 each. Holy crap, I mean, that just starts the day. I'm losing my words. It was a phenomenal way to start our game, knowing that we could go in and get the win. I thought we played brilliantly throughout the first half. I thought we were really good. I know some of the guys on Twitter and stuff maybe don't agree too much, but I thought we were really good. But it just never came. It kept dragging on. And you start getting that nervous panic way. But see, what would you say, 90th minute, 92nd minute, whenever it was, the Bada puts that in. Oh, relief. Oh my days indeed, Gavin. Oh my days indeed.
Oh my fucking God, Gavin. Aye, mate, it was one of the first half was decent enough. We were pretty fluent, but it just seemed that it was one of the days we get to where it just wasn't clicking in the final third of the half, the pitch, sorry. Even worse so, the manager made a couple of changes early on, second half, because he kind of knew in my mind that like something's needing to be done here, because it's just happening and happening. It's the same thing that's happening all the time. We're not going to dissect the full game, but we're just going to try and fucking go at it as best as we can.
Yeah, well, I was a couple minutes late to the game myself. Only a few minutes. I missed the initial lineup and initial kickoff. But let's just run through the lineup, because I think it's a couple of things to note about this lineup, especially how we end up making those changes you see at halftime. So we started the game, as always, Joe Hart in goals, Anthony Ralston at right back, Carter Vickers, Starfelt and Scales. Scales getting a good, a worthy start, I reckon. Militime wins like that, wins titles. It bloody does indeed. Midfield 3, Hatate, Beaton and O'Reilly. Up front, we had, again, Abada, Giamakis and Forrest on the left. I think that's the same lineup that we started, maybe middle to front end we started the other game with. It looks quite familiar with the front line anyway.
Beaton was the captain today, wasn't
he? He was captain, aye. But I just want to point out, before we go much further, I'm going to point out that there's at least 6 or 7 players in that starting lineup that, for me, don't start in our strongest 11. So you're looking at Giamakis, Forrest and Abada, and I love Abada this season. O'Reilly, Beaton, don't start for me straight away. Scales and Ralston, that's 7. I think you can change them all for Jovanovic. Scales is a hit and miss here who actually plays left backs. But I think you can change Ralston for Jovanovic. I think Julian deserves to come in at some point there. Beaton gets replaced by McGregor. O'Reilly gets replaced by Rogic. Abada for Maeda. Forrest for Jota and Giamakis for Kyogo. That's your starting lineup. Today we started quite well considering that amount of non-starters.
I like how you mentioned that like left back's replaceable, because am I right in saying that we had 3 different people playing at left back today?
Give or take, it got a bit weird with the substitutions.
It started with Scales, Juranovic on the right hand side, and then later on, Ralston.
No, the Ralston right, Juranovic comes on.
Scales came off for Juranovic. Juranovic went left, and then Ralston came off again. Juranovic went right, and then Taylor went to left back.
Aye. And it was... I can see why it happened. Overall, take that first half, I think most of our attacks were coming down the right-hand side. I think Tony Ralston was doing reasonably well, as he has done all season. Some fantastic performances this season from Tony Ralston. But all our attacks were coming down the right. I thought Abada was playing a really solid, a really competent game, showing for the ball, skipping past his player a couple of times, driving forward quite well. He had his shot early on. Let me just read my notes here, right in-depth notes, guys. Obada has a shot, he steals the ball, drives forward, and it's a good save by the keeper early on. I think everything in the first half went down the right-hand side for us. I noticed Dell from the Celtic Sports podcast, who's been on obviously quite a few times for us, good mate. He made a good point that his choice of substitutions would be to see Juranovic and Jota come on. That happened, and I think you definitely saw us utilise the left as well as the right in the second half, and I think that showed that the manager definitely noticed it on the left-hand side for us, as much as we all do love him. And Scales on that left, it just wasn't as direct and as effective as we wanted it to be, which it turned out to be really direct and effective with Jota.
Jota came on and you could see his trickery right away. He was taking the man on. A few times he absolutely roasted the fullback. A couple of times a couple of bits of brilliant skill. In fact, done the flick in. Nutmegged him at one point later on in the game, but it was absolutely brilliant. But listen, Jota came on, and it was Jota that set up the goal later on in the game. He ended up on the right-hand side, floated in a ball, and it dropped to the man of the moment, Abada, who potentially has put us to within 1-1 of the title being in our hands, mate.
Come Wednesday night, we are within one game. So 1 game swing now for us. And it's coming up on Wednesday night. It couldn't come at a better time for us now. We're on the front foot. They are struggling. That's 2 games in a row, is it? Or 2 games in the last 3 where they've dropped points. We've closed that gap from, 4 points down to 2 points? Or was it 6 points down to 4 points down to 2 points? Whatever the fuck it was. But it's in our hands now. It's totally in our hands. We're in the ascendancy. They're struggling. They're now getting the fear of the usual January dip after Christmas. Fans are going to be on their backs. We're going to have fans on our side. It's going to be at Celtic Park on Wednesday night. You have to be confident. As much as we're about to discuss that Beaton's going to miss the game on Wednesday night, you have to be somewhat confident that we're going to go into this game looking for the win, hungry for the win, and get the goals that we need.
It's what we need to do. There's no other way about it. We need to win this game. Obviously, we could potentially go and win the league without winning this game, but I think if we are to go and win the league, we need to put a marker down. We need to beat them at home. We need to get this fucking monkey off our back that we've not beat them in over a year. You know what I mean? Aye. We've not played them at Celtic Park in front of the crowds for over 2 years. So this game on Wednesday is fucking of a magnitude so large, mate. It's unbelievable. It's indescribable. And the passion that's going to be coming for the Celtic fans, surely to God should be driving the players on.
It should. It really should.
Level. You know what I mean? Hopefully that noise brings on the negative factor for the other mob coming on, and it's total intimidation. You know what I mean?
I think you look at our team, and we are struggling for not fitness. We're struggling for injuries. Gavin never saw the game today prior to the last minute goal. Was United keeper having a hell of a match, or were we wasteful? A bit of both, Gav. I think he had some good saves against Abada. Giamakis should have scored twice. Gilt-edged chances that he should have done better with. The keeper's in the right place, but it's not a great save sort of thing. We were a little bit wasteful, but he wasn't having a blinder of a game, I don't think. Not in the sense that you're like, oh my God, he's kept us out. How are we ever going to get this past him? It was a case of just, we need to just keep pushing forward. It's going to come. It eventually did.
He's made 7 important saves this match, mate, including Yep, including the one for Jackie Marcus, which was a good reflex save.
It's a good reflex, but
I know some might say that he could do better, but in hindsight, but kind of in split fucking moments, you know what I mean? It's
of course.
Listen, it's detrimental to us that we had a keeper that was playing a blinder today. But when somebody needs to step up, somebody's done it.
Abada's usually your man.
And Abada is somebody that I've kind of gave a bit of criticism to this season. But he's certainly proved effective whenever he's played through the middle. And how many goals has that he scored now? I think you've got
I think we're definitely on to 12, I think, if not on to 13. Scored. And I think he's got, 7, 8 or 9 assists as well. So he's involved in 20 plus goals. I've not got the stats to hand. This is by memory of trying to add up the last couple as well. I'm sure he's involved in 20 plus goals this season so far. For me, he is likely to hit 20 goals. And yet some people, and I understand why, but some people are still calling not to be played and calling shite and no ready yet. The guy's getting better and better every game. We've talked about it at the start. He was 19 when he joined us. Forrest, we were hoping, was going to be the number one right winger. Obviously, Forrest isn't coming back to form as we expected. Abada's doing everything he can. He's going to go hot and cold at times. He's not going to have great performances every single game. First season in a new league and all the rest of it, all the stuff we've talked about before. You got to give the guy a little bit of credit, a little bit of leeway. It's not ideal because Forrest isn't stepping up to the plate here, but Abada's doing everything he can in my eyes, and he's producing the numbers.
Listen, mate, when you look back overall for the first half of the season, you know, Abada's had to come in and step up and step into the game. Sometimes he's been quiet, sometimes he's been wasteful, no involved as much, blah, 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 blah. But as I say, overall, his contribution so far has been very, very good for a young guy coming into the team. But in saying that, you know, we're going to have Jota back fully fit. We'll have Maeda, you know, Kyogo, Jackie Marcus. So there's choices there for that front line. So there's options there to drop Abada in and out and let him come on in certain circumstances and play certain circumstances like today. But as I say, recently he's been very effective through the middle as a striker. I know you're not a fan of Jackie Marcus, especially after the day. I think he had an absolute howler today.
I think he showed us, unfortunately, the fear that I have that he's just not as clinical as we hope after last season's admittedly great goal return for the relegation team in Holland. His pass record seems to be what's shown up. He's missing gilt edge chances. Okay, great save, reaction save from Seacrest. But then you look at his shots later on, I think on the 70th minute, where he completely fluffs it. There's no composure, there's no instinct. But then you look at his goal that he scored the other day, when the ball comes in from the right-hand side, and it's almost like a deft touch to take it by the keeper to get his goal. An absolute phenomenal touch. Then today, he's nowhere to be seen. We're flipping balls into the box. Jota comes on at half-time. The amount of crosses he's putting in, and Giamakis is nowhere to be seen at all. Attacking that ball in the middle. Can't find him. More often than not, it was actually Matt O'Reilly that was coming in trying to get on the end of a Jota cross. Where's Giamakis? He gets his chance a wee bit later on in the second half and he fluffs it. And eventually, as you said, it's Jota on the right who brings it over to Abada, who takes the bull by the horns and gets the goal that were desperately deserved, I think, today.
I can't disagree with you, mate. Very, very poor today. I mean, there's a couple of times they should at least have hit the target. A couple of times they should at least have kind of held the ball up, but that's neither here nor there. Now the game's finished, but he wasn't good today at all. So whether Abada's goal and his goal scoring contributions from the centre gives Ange something to think about after a day's performance, maybe that's something that could happen. But we had a couple of great performances today. Somebody I've been very critical of, but Carol Starfelt, I thought he was super.
Brilliant performance.
There was one point he made a successive double tackle.
Yeah.
And it just showed to me it was aggressive, but no in the sense of that he went to go and break somebody's legs. He was aggressive in trying to win the ball, which he did successfully. And I was very, very pleased with that. Delighted with it.
There was small elements, as hopefully some people have noticed in the intro video, which I think is absolutely superb. no bias. But the small in that double tackle moment, a small element of the Jojo Simunovic tackle. He just kind of went in. He just cleanly takes the ball, knows what he's doing, doesn't give a fuck about the player, but he doesn't touch the player either. He just goes right in with that aggression of confidence, and he's tackling. I think he showed that quite a lot throughout the game. He was reading the game well. He was tracking back, putting in the foot to knock the ball away. I think if it wasn't for Abada getting the goal and his good performance on the right, then Jota with his great performance in the second half, I think Starfelt deserves to be up there as one of the contenders for man of the match today. I think he was absolutely phenomenal.
Aye, I won't disagree with that. Starfelt, great game. O'Reilly, again, was just...
Good game.
Mate, I think this guy's absolutely flawless. He's hard to kind of try and compare to somebody, but he's like a mixture between Callum McGregor and Tom Rogic for me, because he's got that size, he's got that left foot, and he's got that kind of smooth technique, but he's no as fluent, kind of getting by people, but he's got that kind of sharp turn that McGregor's got, and he's got that great positional sense.
Yeah.
So he's definitely he's hit the ground running if he's come into Celtic. I mean, his first game was the last game. He got man of the match on his debut. Again today, flawless.
Definitely, he's somebody that we signed for that, was it $1.5 million, and I'm very skeptical when we sign these kind of players from lower divisions in England or players from Ireland and stuff. You're kind of skeptical of, is this the manager wanting this player for his actual ability and his style to fit into the side, or is it one of these Celtic signings where we're like, well, we'll take a punt because he's cheap, we can get him for the development fee, we can get him for whatever. And when you look at it and you think $1.5 million, that's a bit more than what we usually would spend on somebody who was a development player as such. And he's hit the ground running. 2 games in, and he's shown his worth. I think you're definitely right. He's here to play the role. And I think he's here to take over from David Turnbull. I think Ange has identified a few players that have been signed for Celtic. McCarthy for one. Turnbull, who is no fault of obviously Ange. I do like Turnbull. But I think identifying people like O'Reilly, getting games, getting a start, and he's an O'Reilly's a Turnbull replacement for me, or rotation player.
Oh, I mean, I get what you're saying there, but I don't think with Postecoglou's squad that he's trying to assemble, or that he is assembling, I don't think that we're getting players who are coming in necessarily as replacements. I think we need
rotation. Let's go with rotation.
I think we need massive depth, and you look at the injuries that we were getting at the start of the season with players out. The injuries that we were getting towards the end of the first half of the season, we started pulling up the hamstrings. Now we're starting to get players injured because of kind of rash tackles, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it shows you that we need more than one person for each position. Sometimes we're winning more than 2 people for each position, and what we've got now is starting to really get there. And you look at what's happened. We've brought in the Japanese fellas who have done brilliant. Maybe not so much Andy Gucci because we've not seen that much of him. But Hatate, Maeda, absolutely. O'Reilly's come in recently, done absolutely brilliant. Today, there was another debutant in, and the boy was on the bench for the last game, but Ben Doak, again. That's what, the 4th or 5th young guy that's been promoted for the academy this season,
give or take. So you're looking at Dean Murray. You had a few of the youngsters actually start early in the season, but definitely Dean Murray seemed to be the one to stand out that Ange was relying on in the early days. You had Murray, you've had Moffat, you've now had Dokes. I think you definitely would have had Dembele getting game time.
Oh,
I'm desperate to see him come back. But there's a few. We mentioned this in the chat earlier on the WhatsApp. There's a good 4 or 5 that he's given debuts to or put into the squads, and I think we're going to see a bit more of them as the season goes on. Again, the likes of Dokes getting a wee shot now. Moffat's kind of falling out of the picture. If Dokes doesn't take his chance, maybe we'll see somebody else come in. I think Ange is possibly that kind of manager who's willing to put these guys on the bench, get them in and around the match day squad, get them in and around the first team training. And if they can take this chance, brilliant. If not, then
Well, I mean,
find somebody else.
Young Doak came on the day and he came on to the right-hand side of the midfield. I thought he did well. I'm sure I heard some commentator on Celtic TV making some comparisons to Wayne Rooney or something, but I'm not even entertaining that. Other than the shaved hair, and he's about 17. But he did reasonably well. He was attacking, he was getting involved, and he was making the runs through. So it's good to see that we're getting guys like that again. But again, overall, the point is that we've now got a lot better squad. We've got more options, and we're bringing through boys like Doak. You know what I mean? And that's as a couple of guys are saying in the comments, they're third roaster, blah, 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 blah. Tell you what, Forrest was poor and lacked a yard, and where the hell was Mikey Johnson? Yep, so that's us. That's us without Mikey Johnson. I'm not quite sure what's happening with him as it stands now. But certainly Forrest is out of form. Very much out of form.
I do wonder, just as we're saying about the depth there and the youngsters, I'm all for the youngsters, as Gavin keeps highlighting. Definitely, I'm all for giving them the chances. But I'm wondering if you get the 6 or 7 players that I've mentioned earlier on in the podcast, if they're all back. So if you had Maeda and Kyogo on the bench, would Dokes have been there?
No, probably not. But this is what you need to contend with at times. Injuries, international call-ups, and it's great now that we've got a young player like Doak who could be called up and get his game and do very well, which he did.
I think he never went above and beyond and went, wow, this guy should be starting the next game. It wasn't that great, but I think he showed himself well. He looked for the ball. He was on the left side at one point. He was on the right side. He was getting into a bit of space and looking to attack. I think he did himself proud of a debut kind of off the bench. A lot more hopefully to come from him. But yeah, I think he should be proud of that. And I think it's something to build on.
Absolutely. So on to probably one of the most talked about points of the game. Neil Beaton was the captain. He took a yellow card as the last man had to foul the player before the... Sorry. Totally sorry. To take one for the team, to take a yellow card because the opposition were on the break. So he got a yellow card for that, and then later on, Taylor had come on and went to left back again, and there was an incident where the opposition were coming for the left hand side of their pitch, which was our right side. So they've ended up the centre. Taylor's come across. Taylor's been fouled, right? And as Taylor's actually going down to the ground as he's been fouled, which the referee stopped blowing the whistle for, Beaton's put his arms out. He's almost he's definitely fouled the guy. He's put the guy at the ground, and the referee, sure as fuck, runs away off. Second yellow card for Beaton. So he's sent off. Celtic's 10 men at that point. We're still 0-0, and Beaton's out now for Wednesday. What do you think of that? Do you blame Beaton for that? Or is this another case where he's let us down at a moment where we didn't need it? You know what I mean? Or is this just a case of it had to happen? Or what do you think?
Yeah, I think he's let us down. I had to see it twice. When it first happened, I actually had my head in my notepad taking down a note, basically saying that Abada was a bit ineffective through the middle at that stage in the game. So I kind of missed it. I glanced at it and it happened. I was like, what the hell's happened there? Because one minute you seen Taylor getting fouled, then you're like, all right, I can take my eye off the game a little bit here. So it all seemed a bit kind of weird. But on second looking of it, yeah, he's made the ref make the decision. And as referees go with Celtic players and decisions this season especially, they're going to take an opportunity. And Beaton's put himself in that position again. I think his first booking was up for the tackle in the middle of the park, the one where he took one for the team. I think that was definitely a worthwhile one because they were about to break there. As for the second one, I want to say I feel like it was soft, but he puts himself in that position to give the ref a decision to make, and it's a position that he didn't really have to put in. The player was running, I think he was running into Starfelt and Taylor. Starfelt and Vickers at that point. He still had players in front of him that were there to mop up the defensive side of it, so I don't think he had to do what he did. And it's going to be massive issue coming into Wednesday. It looks like it's likely to be McCarthy that gets the nod to start that game now, alongside probably Hatate and O'Reilly. I'm concerned about that. I don't think McCarthy is offering absolutely anything.
Davey messages in and says, Beaton done his job. You had to take 2 for the team. The first from a poor touch, the second for Taylor being filled. Aye, absolutely.
First one, definitely agree.
The first one, I'm not going to hold against him, but certainly the second one, albeit Taylor was out of position, Taylor was fouled as well, so the referees have blown the game, to stop the game. But if you look at Beaton's behind the guy and he's got his hands on him again. You know what I mean? It's silly things that he does, even when he's trying to not do anything silly. You know, look at the last game. He jumps up, fucking, we got a penalty. You know what I mean? He's done well this season. He's shown himself to be a leader this season, but still at the same time, he does fucking really, really rash things, and he's been doing it for the last few years at the worst times possible.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shame to see him out, mate, but that is what it is. We just need to fucking pull our socks up and go on it.
Overall, I like Neil Beaton. I think he's a tidy enough player. He's definitely somewhat versatile since we tried to develop him at centre-back, although I think we can all hold our hands up in a bit. Definitely a better central midfielder. And this season, he's definitely stepping up in the leadership role. For me, though, when you look at the midfield options that we have, everybody fit, you're looking at McGregor, Hatate, Rogic, O'Reilly, Turnbull, Ideguchi, and then probably Beaton in amongst there as well. So you're looking at 7 players for 3 positions. I think that's a massive pool to be going with. And with Neil Beaton being the last resort as such, that's not too bad. But what does that say about Ismaili Soro and James McCarthy? How poor are they? They're that far down the line. And in fact, the manager really isn't interested in them by the looks of it.
Just to comment that one, Davy Boy. Davy Boy, I know he was getting pulled, mate, but you still can't fucking lift your arm up in the box. You're inviting it on. But hell, that is what it is. McCarthy, so Beaton's going to be out for Wednesday, so you're possibly looking at a midfield 3 of McCarthy, Hatate, and O'Reilly, unless McGregor can make a miraculous recovery.
I would be surprised. I feel like I'd be very surprised if McGregor makes that recovery. Whereabouts is everybody else? Is Rogic definitely out? Is he not going to be back in time?
I don't know.
When's he due back?
He's playing in Oman, isn't he?
Has he still got another game to play? Yeah.
Aye, well, him and Maeda's going to be playing the night before. So I think I don't know, mate. I think there's been a bit of talk yesterday that they're possibly going to try and push the boat out to get Maeda back, because
I've seen some discussions about flight times that they could get back into Glasgow kind of like Wednesday late morning, early afternoon. But for me, that's just a bit too much. Aye.
Well, is it really? If somebody can get back to Glasgow for 1 o'clock in the morning, I mean, we're playing Wednesday night.
I know. I mean, coming from east to west, I believe you get less jet lag going that way because of the way you're flying with time as opposed to against it. Coming from like America, I think you're probably more likely to get jet lag there. I suppose it kind of depends. It's a lot of travel the day before. I think you're risking a little bit of injuries there, but then for me it's probably worth it to have Rogic back over McCarthy and push O'Reilly into the middle with Hatate. Which let's bring Hatate back up again. I thought he seemed quiet at times, but I thought he was absolutely phenomenal. I think he adds so much movement to the team. Like, we're making a lot of passes where he's back to goal, 10 men behind him, 8 men behind him, maybe collecting the ball, and he's quite happily dribbling around in a kind of almost a 10-yard, 8-yard space to create space for himself to get the pass off. He was very mobile, very eager to receive the ball. I think Hatate is a great find of a player.
Oh, mate, he's been phenomenal. I mean, the last 2 games, he's been superb. First game, same as O'Reilly, his debut for Celtic, man of the match. Second match, in a hostile and hard game at Tynecastle, you know, he scores a thunderbolt and opener. Today, he was a bit quieter, but at the same time, you know, he was getting involved. He was making the good decisions. He was getting stuck in as well. I noticed that today, McGinty. There was a couple of times that he was taking a slow one because he was trying to nip in and steal the ball first. But up like a shot, no diving about, no rolling about.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's about half the size of Jackie Marcus, but Jackie Marcus fucking does twice as much as the rolling about.
I know.
I'm a fan. I'm really a fan.
I'm a big fan of. I'm trying to think ways around not playing James McCarthy on Wednesday night. How about, and bear with me, we start Scales on the left, Ralston on the right, full backs. How about we play Jovanovic in the middle? We Hatate.
No.
Is that just a bit too much, you think? With
That's
the inverted full-backs, too much of it?
Right, listen, you fucking Claudio Ranieri. Tinker man, settle down.
I'm going with a Pep Guardiola,
Mate, I'll tell you what, mate, listen.
effort.
I tell you what, mate, I know McCarthy hasn't exactly set the headers I like this season, right? But in the absence of any real leaders in the midfield or any experience, i.e. we're going to be missing McGregor, possibly. We're definitely missing Beaton. Perhaps this could just be the game that we need James McCarthy for, mate, because the guy has got bags and bags of experience.
I think it's just too much on the line to be risking him because he's not done it yet.
I know, but he's done it. He's done it in football, mate. He's done it on big stages. I think there's possibly just a wee bit of an overkill in the attacking players that we've got now. So even if we bring on Hatate, O'Reilly, somebody else, you're talking the only person that you can bring on to be a defensive shield there is Sorrow instead of McCarthy. But with Sorrow, you get an absolute fucking roaster who is getting no sense of fucking anything. You know, he's probably going to get sent off. But McCarthy has got that experience, and this could just possibly be the right time to bring him on and let him try dictate the midfield at the back, especially if they're going to get a break of the ball and start to come forward. At least he can put his body in. He can put a tackle in. You know, he can shield it. He can use his experience, try and read the game.
I see where you're going. I'm not feeling it, though. I'm feeling like he would slow the game down too much. For me, I know it might sound a bit too out there with Jovanovic in the middle as such, but I think he would offer more drive going forward, whereas McCarthy would be too content to take the ball, turn around and pass it backwards.
I like that idea. I just think it's a bit too early. Although the Jovanovic no used to be a centre mid. I
couldn't say for sure, but that rings a vague bell maybe from back in his Liga days.
I'm sure he's played centre mid as well, mate. But I think, for me personally, I think I would rather reluctantly go with McCarthy.
What about Scales? He's played centre mid, as you know.
I know, but
I just really don't want to play McCarthy if you're not getting that impression yet.
Just a couple of lads for the guys in the comments. Davey boy, do you think Ange has a wee swerve coming on Wednesday with Kyogo?
Possibly.
I'll answer that one in 2 wee seconds, right? We'll just get a couple of guys' comments. Paul Burrow, thanks again, mate. Great show, guys. Keep the good luck up. Paddy, come on, hoops, hail. Absolutely, and yourself. Fud Roaster, the best name out. McCarthy is a Celtic supporter, so he knows how big the derby is. He should be the natural replacement for Callum and Beaton. I'm going to have to agree with you, mate. You know, experience, like I've mentioned, he is a good player. He's just not done it for Celtic as of yet. But could this be the right time, the right moment for James McCarthy to step in and start to do his bit for this team? Massive game, mate. But back to Davey. Do you think Ange has a wee swerve coming on Wednesday with Kyogo? Do you know what, mate? I do. I really do think he's got that ace up his sleeve. I think even McGregor as well. I think McGregor might be.
I feel it's too early. I see where you're going with the Kyogo one, and I was seeing some comments from a man from Japan, Dan Olowitz, earlier on Twitter, that Ange seems to be going with the a kind of Japanese approach of not discussing how long injuries are out for. Mm-hmm. So maybe there is something there. You say they don't tell them how long an injury is, don't tell them how long Kyogo's out for, and it might be a wee curveball, a wee swerve balls, and Kyogo might get that start and that nod. He surely isn't that far away. I'm not sure exactly what went wrong after he came back and took the injury again and how severe that was, but it seems like it shouldn't be that far away. I just feel like that Kyle could be about to be released, which would be excellent to see.
Unleash the beast. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So, if Kyogo comes back, what do you think would be the front three then? Do you think he would play him for the start, or do you think he would start with Giacomakis and bring Kyogo in?
I think he'll play him at the start, and I think it's going to be Jota on the left, who I think has been managed through these games by not starting him today. But I think it's going to be Jota on the left, Kyogo up front, and Abada on the right. I think that's where he's going to go.
Aye.
Give yourself Giacomakis and Forrest and the likes of Dokes to come on if you need to. But I think we're going to start all guns blazing on Wednesday night. We're going to go for it.
I think I'm happy with that. I'd love to see Jota on the left, Abada on the right, because if we do that, then that means that Jota is essentially going to be taking on Tavernier, and Tavernier can't defend for fuck. He's decent going forward, he's always going to be a goal threat, but anybody attacking him, he is fucking hopeless. You put Abada on the right hand side, he's going up against Barisic, who is fucking slow as shit.
I've said it for a couple of years now. This Rangers team, they're there to be got at the back. They don't like being ran.
Yeah.
In front of them, if you run at this defence, especially the centre pairing of whoever plays Goldson and whoever the other idiot is.
Big Shirley.
Aye, if you run at these, they go all hands. As soon as you start running through them, they don't know what to do. They get turned so easily and get caught on the back foot, and they automatically put their hands out to try and stop you from turning them. The way we play now, and if you're going to release those three, driving forward with the likes of Matt O'Reilly pushing and Hatate with his turn and his kind of guile that he's got in that kind of area of the pitch in the midfield going into the attack, I think you're very capable of turning them over multiple times. They will get away with murder when it comes to FLs because the refs will be scared to send any of them off. So we'll be getting away with a lot, but we'll be putting them on that back foot constantly. I think it's the way to go. Start the game, get 2-3 goals in the first half, hopefully, and settle this down. You don't have to cup final. Jota, Kyogo, Abada, Tete, Golson, Bassi, Tavernier, Newcastle's Al McGregor is back to being donut hands. Yeah, completely agree, Davey. Completely agree. I think it's going to be that way.
I didn't actually see any of the goals for Ross up in Dingwall, but I heard that McGregor was an absolute fucking fumbled the ball, something to that effect. I don't particularly give a fuck what he done. All I care about is the scoreline. So it was great to see them dropping 2 points before we even started. I'm sure maybe people living close by heard the roar for the outside of Celtic Park when everybody was going to the stadium. But again, it's just another day where Celtic have shown their resilience. You look at the game a few weeks ago up in Dingwall, funnily enough, we managed to get the late winner. Absolute belter for Ralston. And today again, fucking scored with the 90th minute. Abada, 10 men up against it. To me, mate, this is the form of champions. This is what champions do. This is how you become champions, because you're not going to win every single game unless it's a freak season or unless you're just the best fucking team in the country. This is what you need to do. You need to fight. You need to grind it out. You need to get the rub of the green. You need to fucking continue and keep going until the very last minute. You never give up, is what we hear Anne saying. We hear the video. Never give up. We'll stop when we'll stop when they stop, and that's exactly what we've seen again today. We never stopped until the final whistle, and it paid off. We got the goal. We put ourselves into a great position because, as I say, if we win on Wednesday, we go a point ahead, and the league's in our hands. For where we started off at the start of the season to where we are now, mate. This is great. This is a great progression.
Oh, it's a fantastic progression, Paddy. I was debating how good this progression was a few months ago. Rangers conceded in the last minute, and we scored in the 90th minute. It doesn't get much better. Exactly, Kookaburra. Yeah, I was debating how much the progression was coming along a couple of months ago. Is it as good as we think it is? Have we got it in us to claw back these points that we were behind, especially in time for this game coming up? and we've managed it. We're now here. It's in our hands. I still think we need to beat them twice. As you said, we need to get that little monkey off our back. We need to get back in the rhythm of actually handing out defeats to this mob. But I think we definitely need to beat them twice to win the title this year, because they'll consider these games against Celtic and Rangers as the key games as well. And if we can win the 2 of the last 3 here, it's completely in our hands. We go, let's just take those 3 games. We win 2 of them, and if we match them in every other game against every other club, at that point, we're 2 points behind just now. At 6, we go 4 points clear.
2 points. So 23 games in, 2 points behind.
Aye. So we win 2 of the 3. We're, what did I say there? 4 points ahead. So we can lose that other one game, which they'll be all up for, and we'll still be in lead. I know it's so many hypothetical situations there, but I just feel like we need 2 out of the 3 wins here.
Aye. Obviously, we need to beat them at every stage as a Celtic supporter point of view.
Yeah.
But we definitely, if we're going to win the league this season, we need to win the 2 games at Celtic Park without a shadow of a doubt. Nay, I've put something about it. This one on Wednesday, mate, is colossal, as I say, because of the kind of backstory behind it. We haven't beat them for over a year. You know, last season was a fucking shambles from start to finish, total mediocrity. It was the banter years for us against us last season, but this season, mate, we've been laughed at for the start. We're going to bring it up. We've brought it back to within 2 points. This one on Wednesday is fucking colossal in terms of the swing.
Big game.
For me, mate. I think if we win this on Wednesday, we show them that obviously, number 1, they can be beaten, and number 2, we can fucking win. We've got the winner's mentality. You know what I mean?
Aye. Totally agree.
Let's see if we get any boys' comments. Keep it real, Scotland. Great effort today. Boys worked hard and never let their heads go down. Kept working the ball forward, and we got the reward for it. Must beat the knuckle draggers now to start them suffering properly. Yep.
Last season, no fans and all the rest of it, they never got the pressure. We had a lot of pressure on us. We had a lot of issues with the Neil Lennon debacle, the board refusing to move on it. We imploded, and they capitalised on that, and they capitalised on it without any fans on their backs. We're seeing them almost return to type of the last 3-4 years, where outside the last season, come the break, come the after Christmas, New Year, they collapse. They can't cope with pressure. That's 2 games already in quick succession that they are showing that they can't cope with this pressure. We do it again on Wednesday. This season's over.
Well,
that's not over, but in the sense of, to this point, they've had all the momentum. To this point, they've had all the confidence. When I say over, I don't mean obviously the title race. It's nothing like that. We're not counting our eggs at this point. But in their mentality, where their season's brought them to this point, where they are overly confident, overly egotistical about it, they think they've got the given right to this title. That's over. That mentality is over. They need to reassess what they're doing, and I don't think they can cope. Not the way that Van Bronckhorst sets them up.
And that was exactly what happened with us last season as well, mate. We thought that we could just turn up and win, but now this season we've had to fight for everything. We've had to rebuild. We've had to fucking set the foundations. We've had to build on top of that. And fortunately enough, we've had Ange pulling the strings there. Making a few mistakes along the way, but look at where we are now, mate.
But what that's the great thing, and that's back to the point earlier when debating how much this progression is happening. We're seeing the manager's influence on the team, the style, the tempo, everything is going in the right direction, and we're all seeing the development of it, and we're seeing the manager learning from it. We know. I think we all noticed that we're short on bodies in the first half of the season, and we all now see that we've got some more bodies in, and we can see the progression. We're all witnessing how many players have been out injured in international duties. And we're seeing how it's all about to build again, and we're seeing how it's going to move forward. It's going to be brilliant in the second half.
Absolutely. It's been a great Gav, squad mentality this season in comparison to last season's.
It's night and day. Absolute night and day.
Night and day. That's fine. So we're going to wrap up. Me and McGinty's got a wee bit of celebrating today. It's been a great day for Celtic fans. The rotten mob 2 points dropped before we even kicked a ball, and we left it late to get a emphatic win again in Celtic Park. So brilliant. Thanks for your time today, McGinty. We are going to
My
come
pleasure.
back on Tuesday night with the usual weekly roundup, and of course we play on Wednesday night, which I don't think any of us are going to be doing because we're either going to be at it or pushed.
Yeah, I dare say maybe a Thursday. So we'll recap that one.
I think we'll probably try our best to do something Thursday night, especially. No, I tell you what, we will do something Thursday night, especially if we win. I can't promise that I'll be coherent. I'll probably be slurring or still pissed.
I think we're getting used to it.
Well,
Here, guys. All the best.
That's good enough for us today, right? Thanks everybody for tuning in. All the comments. Enjoy your weekend.
Cheers, guys. Hail, hail.